As a result of the global coronavirus pandemic, 30 million small businesses around the country were suddenly faced with closures and needed help immediately. As a result of the $2 trillion CARES stimulus package, $350 billion of that was earmarked for the Payment Protection Program, which was primarily instituted to help small businesses keep their employees on staff. Many of the small mom and pop businesses that needed the cash the most were left out. My colleagues and I spent the weekend speaking to about 24 bankers and businesses and combed through SBA data and hundreds of securities filings to get to the bottom of the story. What surprised us most was discovering that in the rush to dole out the funds, the banks prioritized existing customers with high-level relationships within the top ranks. Their rationale? Even if the loans were 100% guaranteed, it was better to deal with the businesses they knew best. As a result, their own banks couldn't fund their loans even if they wanted to, which forced businesses to all rush to apply with a different lender they had no prior relationship with. Unfortunately, all of the Small Business Administration lenders were so overwhelmed, they chose to prioritize their own customers first, and most didn't even get through those. The point of the Paycheck Protection Program was to help many of these smaller businesses that don't have the liquidity that these public companies do, and or the backing of millionaire or billionaire investors. All of these people are suffering at a much greater level than the public companies. I spoke to one of these small business owners that applied and didn't get any money, the owner of a pediatric clinic in Salt Lake City.
We're a little empty this morning.
I applied for the PPP loan the very morning it opened up. It was a Friday, I believe, 2 weeks ago. I knew that it was a capped process. I knew going into it that it would be a first come, first serve basis. So there was some mild anxiety associated with making sure I got the application in a timely manner. My banker reached out to me and said, unfortunately, the money ran out. I was told that I was in line to be funded, but the money ran out before my loan was approved. We will have a shortfall this month without the PPP money. We are actively working on ways to make up those funds. And as the owners of the business, we've committed to keep our employees employed, and we're just not going to get paid until we get these funds in place.
Not every business was denied, though. There were some businesses that did receive the money.
We specialize in helping people book hotel rooms for groups, events, conferences, and for individual travel. Our business went down 90% overnight. We're an independent company, so we actually have no outside capital. All the capital is from profits and our turnover. So it's really, we're very self-reliant as a firm. But we said in this case, we needed to get some assistance. So we were following the government loan process very, very, very closely. That is it going to happen? Is it not going to happen? What are the terms and conditions? So there was a lot of questions up until the last minute. And we decided that, listen, just for cash flow purposes, we really need to get through the next couple of months because just people aren't traveling. We submitted it on Friday, got reviewed Saturday. We had our funding on Tuesday. We applied for $1.4 million and we received $1.4 million. It's going primarily towards payroll. So it's really making sure that we reduced a lot of people's hours. So we said, okay, listen, now you can work full hours now. And we reduced salaries, by 50%. Our CEO took no salary. You got to service the customer. So imagine if I had to cut my staff 50% again, and then people are calling up and they want refunds and they want to make bookings and they want to make cancels, they want to make changes. It's very, very hard to do that. I think overall for a company like ours, it's going to make a huge difference.
On April 21st, the Senate passed an additional $320 billion in funding to replenish the Paycheck Protection Program, with $60 billion of that money earmarked for small and mid-sized banks, community-based lenders, and credit unions. Another $60 billion has been set aside for the Economic Injury Disaster Loan Assistance Program, a separate lending program directly administered by the SBA. Hopefully, the money will actually be administered in a more equitable way, but I'm not sure that it's still enough. I think that longer term, getting these small businesses back to work and back into a position where they are above water and can pay back these loans, which are in some cases forgivable and in other cases not, is going to be a long road ahead.